touch.
Representative Levitt needed to take it out.
Legislative.
Yes, okay.
She will be back this
Did you
afternoon,
guys catch
or
her?
for the floor.
Did you guys see her?
Yeah, I
performance?
did, as they did, Mike did.
It was good.
Yeah, we had
I saw you guys up in the back. I sat a little closer, near my old seat. So, but a lot of smiles up behind me.
Yeah, no, it was well done. I mean, we represented very well, I think.
It was really a humorous story of her brief political career where she first got appointed to the dump commission the transfer station, and then within a very few years ended up as a rep. So her talk was from the dump to the house. And it was.
Dave, do you mind getting the doors?
No, I don't mind.
It was really great.
Did anybody see the CCC presentation?
I didn't, no.
No, I'm
I wish I had,
heartbroken that I
yeah.
didn't, but it's been a big part of my life.
Yeah.
And just as far as old CCC buildings and log landings, where the old CCC came. Very memorable.
Just a couple of sort of things about next week. The reminder that we have the farm tour Wednesday. So that we'll get details if we don't already have them on the, when and where to meet. I think it's 9, probably out front. But we'll nail that down. And then Tuesday, you may have all gotten an invitation to lunch across the way with an update on First Futures. Yeah. So we've already gone ahead and I think Laura has anyway, confirmed everyone attending. So you don't need to RSVP. If anybody doesn't feel like they want to go to that, let Laura know and we'll take that back. And I think that's probably at 12, although I'm not sure about that either. So
At the Capitol.
Capitol Plaza. Yeah.
And I have written down noon, which in some interpretations is 12.
Yeah.
But I've been these things and I arrive at 12 and there are 75 people already there. So I don't.
There may be at least that many because I think they're there for the day doing a retreat or an update. And they've extended an invitation to members of the Rural Caucus and probably the Senate committees will be invited to. So maybe quite a good crowd, not sure. That's Tuesday. I guess those are the two offsite things to mention for next week. Before we break for the morning, though, I just wanted to see if anybody had any other thoughts on what we heard this morning, just while they're fresh and what we might want to do next and while we're still fueled by coffee. Yep.
This is the elephant in the room, but it's so interesting, the juxtaposition between the school administration and then, this teacher who had to sort of hack her way through the jungle with a machete. The people at the top don't seem to want too much to change. And then it seems from below, there's a lot of change needed. It's going to be interesting to find the bridge between those 2 points.
Yeah, Representative Paul.
Though it seemed like it was only possible because the superintendent was supportive and the principal was supportive. So it took, that collaboration, and even with those 2 supports, getting to your point exactly where there were like the praxis issue and certification issues. There seemed to be like another outside layer.
Yeah, interesting.
I just want, does anybody understand is licensure at the AOE or is it like a sort of national thing you have to do?
It's definitely state.
That's accepted by AOE.
Yeah, I'm not sure of the roles that AOE or the state board might play. I want to say it's AOE, but I'm not entirely sure. But we could find out more about that.
And what about the teachers union?
I don't think that they might be involved with from time to time bargaining and negotiating, but I don't think so, not necessarily on a state level for licensure. But I'm not certain. So there's, lots of things we could learn. And Henry,
Yeah, I just one of the, I think we've all heard the common thread that we've heard, I think, from both administration and from that testimony earlier was really not to have the desire of a strict structure around, a real curriculum thing, that it sounds like it needs to be a more bottom-up approach. And how do we encourage and make it easier for teachers to start these programs? How do we encourage the school to food, or food to school, farm to school, the food what's the title I'm looking for? Like the coordinator, the person that.
Farm to school.
Yeah, the,
Pro-trip coordinator.
Oh, I have it written down. Farm to school coordinator.
okay,
Yeah.
so like, just trying to, I guess, encourage, and that's obviously a different approach than maybe we're used to in some regards. But yeah, be interesting to figure out how we can encourage.
Rodney?
So, we heard from the Board of Education, but my experience when I was on this school board was, you really wanted to make change, you just had to force it.
Yeah.
And, no matter what they said, you had to force it.
And
One of our favorite sayings was, see that light coming at you? It's a train. And you either get on the platform or you're gonna get run over. That's what you had to do. So, I would say just because of the testimony from the Board of Education that we should stop.
yeah,
And unfortunately, we may have to get into the Committee of Education. And work with them, so we don't get over the jurisdiction of there.
and I think obviously our job is to design policy and try to guide things in the right way. I think we want to be careful of putting more stress on a system that is clearly stressed. And I've heard that from teachers on the ground over and over again, just especially with the way things are now after COVID, and the burden, and like Janice said this morning, just like there are people leaving this profession because it's so difficult, and so maybe more regulation and more burden is, even though our intent might be good, could be a bad thing. So just that balance, trying to figure out how do we force what we want and do it in a way that we're not messing up the system.
I think that's absolutely, yeah.
That's well
Right.
said, and that's obvious, critical.
But it might actually be the opposite of getting rid of requirements and restrictions from what we were hearing in Janice.
Right.
Yeah, more flexibility with the system so that that model could be applied to other schools, because it sounds like right now it nearly kills you to get there. And if that's the case, right, no teacher's gonna do this.
Though I was a little concerned about that because at the same time, you want to make sure the direction is in the right direction, right? So how do you both deregulate and soften while making sure that it's still like the prescribed curriculum we want to see? Or maybe not we want to see, that would be the most valuable.
I just want to put in a request to make sure that we do get those documents about craft that Janice was saying she could share, because I think it would be really interesting for us to see what they have developed in terms of striking that balance between what are the things that would make up a program like this with leaving the flexibility for how it's actually taught and engaged with the classroom.
Laura, would you be able to follow up with her and ask her that?
Were you talking about the place-based education coordinator position?
No, I was talking about the school food coordinator piece or the person that, the grant position to bring farm to school in and like a permanent structure for incorporating that all the time. And is where I think I was going with that.
On that same topic of the grants, I'd be really curious to know more about, is it the Roland grant?
Yeah.
Talking about for professional development, that's $100,000 to schools. I'd be curious to know what Vermont schools are tapping into that and what they're using it for, and I think that could be an interesting framework if we're trying to insert that.
I think just.
Yeah, it's,
You know something about this?
yeah, there's like, some of the relevant, it's a Manchester and Dorset base. It's
Interesting.
a family that is from that area, and one of the two of the board members still live in Dorset, two of the family members. And I know that it's a program that they sort of started doing at BBA. They're sort of BBA, smaller scale for BBA teachers to take sabbaticals to, and they also have the statewide. That's what she was referencing.
How do you spell, is it Roland?
ROWLAND. Yeah.
Okay.
ROW.
Heidi Lynn is the person who's sort of the current generation. Her parents, I believe, were the founders. She lives in Dorset. She's also deeply involved in the local cleaning organization,
Oh.
Grateful Hearts, which is the legend.
I think to jump back to David's point, it feels like from what I'm hearing with the approach, it feels like it kind of has to be a two-part piece of creating the path and then supporting the movement through that path. You know, like we need to do something that allows this to be workable in schools, and then we need to support the mechanism to make it work. Like that's just what I'm thinking.
It does seem like there's, so on the one hand, legitimate concern about, the stress that schools are currently under and taking on anything new, which will always be the case, I imagine, not just now. But at the same time, there seems to be, real enthusiasm for agricultural learning in schools. And I mean, I don't think we've heard anybody say, I would rather we didn't do that. It's just, it's either right now it's hard, or there's already, the curriculum, is already full, or the day is already full. But there's enthusiasm for the idea, and there are existing structures that we could perhaps work with to, expand on what's already there and take advantage of what seems to be enthusiasm that hasn't been completely tapped.
Just your reference to nobody saying that they weren't interested in this reminded me that I was struck when Betsy was sharing their presentation. There was a little a slot in the pie chart where they had done a survey and asked, are you teaching these things? And if you're not, do you have an interest? And most students who said they weren't teaching them had strong interest, but there was 13% who said there was no interest at all. I would be interested in digging into those.
Yeah.
What that means, and where they are, and what
Why?
the actually behind that. Yeah. Lack of interest. Or
It could have been just having a bad day. And then,
We're underwater.
We don't need any.
yeah.
Probably places that don't know anything about agriculture.
Yeah.
right, which sort of to Henry's point behind this bill being perhaps those are the places that need
That's
it most.
right.
Well, maybe shout at Ron DeSantis in that last testimony was kind of fascinating.
Yeah, that was interesting.
Well, I think,
The chow line's calling.
I think we'll continue to sort of think about this and we can talk later about what we might want to do next. After the floor, we'll come back and possibly or confirmed have
The senator, the reporter of S-115.
will be.
Brian Colomar.
Yeah, so we have the bill, the Senate miscellaneous bill will be, the speaker today will put it in our committee. So get ready to work on that this afternoon and have Senator Cullimore come in.
It
And
mostly has to do with eggs.
does have something to do with eggs. I remember that. Yeah.
Mostly do with
Okay.
eggs. I didn't see where
I
that's much
saw
out.
this one, it's not gonna be a long,
Yeah. I mean, I think maybe there's a lot of text, but like our bill was a lot of text, but not necessarily, a lot of heavy learning on it. So. But they did spend quite a while on it, so we'll have to see.
Okay.